Welcome back, Wildcat fans, to another exciting edition of the Deer Park Coaches Show. I'm Jake Snyder, joined by Coach Tucker Berger. And today we are breaking down the Wildcats' 39-8 win over Norwood to move to 2-1 on the season. We're also going to look ahead towards homecoming this week against Taylor. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, Tuck.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, first of all, 39-8 win over Norwood this past weekend. First of all, I guess it's nice to be back with you after a week-long hiatus. That'll be our last gap in the season this year. So just talk to me about the win on Friday night. Your team's performance offensively, obviously pretty dominant. Feel good defensively. What were just your overall takeaways from the game?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like it was the best game we've played all year. I think just on both sides of the ball and even in the special teams side of things, we really looked clean. I mean, I know we had more penalties than I'd like, but it felt like it was probably the most complete game we've played just from top to bottom.
Yeah. Offensively, obviously led by your quarterback, Tink Sellers, who now sits third in the Cincinnati Hills League in passing yards, third in rushing yards. I got to tell you, from my perspective, it's been a long time since we've had somebody near the top of the passing yards perspective, so that's certainly nice to see. He threw for 173 on 6 of 13 passing, 3 touchdowns. Also rushed 6 times for 111 yards, 18.5 yards per carry. Scored 6 touchdowns total. We'll get into the accolades and all of that stuff here in a little bit. But what worked so well offensively for him running the show for you?
He just does a really good job of reading the defense. I mean, he takes the easy throws and he doesn't really force anything. So I think that's why you see a lot of his balls being completed. But even in the run game, I mean, he's got to give credit to some of those other guys because, I mean, when EJ and Morgan and Isaiah and Jaden are all breaking big carries, I mean, then the defense, after a while, they just start wearing him down, and then Tink finally pulls and he gets out, and then that's when we hit those home runs. It is.
It's the fun thing about all those weapons that you have is it's 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, and then, you catch them eyes in the wrong direction or sleeping a little bit and you break those big ones. So
and I think that's the thing. If you look at our box score compared to a lot of other teams, I mean, you'll see some guys that have 16, 17 carries and they're breaking for 160, 165 yards. But I mean, Tink's doing it on 6 carries, 8 carries, while the other guys are getting 3 and 4. So I mean, it's not like our touch percentage is astronomically larger than everyone else's.
Yeah.
He's just doing a whole lot with the opportunities he's getting.
Well, let's look at one of those opportunities. Like you said, 6 carries, 111 yards. We're going to look at first bit of game film. You're up 14-0. We'll jump backwards here in a little bit to some other plays, but I wanted to start with this one from Tink just because of the game that he put together for you. This is a first play of the second quarter here on a 1st and 10. He's going to go ahead and take this one 57 yards for a touchdown. Talk to me about what's going on here and walk me through this one.
So we knew when we just based off formation and the sets we got in, when we got into this tight set, that they were really going to compress their edges. So we do a good job of running our reverse motion here to kind of get the defense moving. And that defense end at the top, number 9, he crashes down to take that dive. And as soon as Tink sees that, he pulls it. And once he pulls that, he gets enough of a block from Morgan out there that he just kind of gets that edge. And, I mean, then his athleticism just does the rest. I mean, there's not many guys that are going to catch up to him once he gets out in front of you, which, I mean, he might not look necessarily extremely fast on film, but, those strides are so long, and it's just tough to keep up with him once he gets out.
Yeah, and you love that one. It kind of broke this game wide open in the second quarter. The big playability of this team, and we're going to see a handful of them in this game. The next one we're going to look at is EJ, his big touchdown early in the game. But the big playability of this team is really just incredible with all the weapons you have on the edges.
I mean, that's the best part about having 4 or 5 guys that can do it. I mean, you never know which one is going to do it when they get their chance. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome to have all those weapons.
Yeah, so speaking of, here we're going to jump back into the first quarter now. This is the first play of a drive after getting the ball back. Talk to me about what's going on here. You're at the 30-yard line. You're up 7-0, 7:06 left in the first quarter here. What's the read? What's the look? What's going on this one?
Yeah, so we come out in our unbalanced overset, and we know that we have some numbers that side of the field. So we do a good job here of sealing that edge. And Jaden, 26, our running back, does a really good job of picking up that free rusher. So what Norwood's adjustment was to our unbalanced set was that they were just going to keep knifing that edge, trying to send that guy in there. And Jaden knew that, so he went to go pick him up. And once we got past that second level, I mean, EJ was out. And it's really nice to see EJ finally breaking one, just because, the first week it was Morgan. Second week, Morgan had a little bit more success. And then, EJ has this play just to remind you kind of who he is. So, I mean, that just adds into the trio, really, that have had those big explosive plays. But just trying to keep feeding him the ball. I mean, now that we're going to dip into CHL play, he's going to have to step up and make some more plays for us like this.
The burst that he has kind of between the 30 and 40-yard line was the thing that just stuck out to me so much. Like you said, it's been a little quieter for him, and I don't even think that that's a bad thing necessarily this early in the year, but you're right to see his ability, that burst that he gets, and then gets that to the outside on the 40, and then just takes off. And, I mean,
just making that cut and getting to the sideline, that's a quick cut, and once he gets vertical, he's just another one that, good luck.
Right, exactly. Well, and one thing we didn't even touch on in the beginning of this was this Friday night was wet, it was rainy, kind of a gross night. You can see it on the field even. To be able to move like that in slippery conditions, that's not an easy thing, and you have to. There's a focus to that as well, and you just really like to see that from him.
Yeah, and even on that play, Kevin Guzman, he's
what a block
one of the
right
guys
there.
Who doesn't get a whole lot of recognition, and he blocks his butt off. Blocking about 10, 15 yards down the field and putting the guy on his butt, and then just keep going down the field to the next guy. That's just what we need from our seniors.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to jump back to our first touchdown of the game here. Just to put a bow on EJ, 2 catches, 79 yards, and a touchdown. Again, I think you're going to see bigger and bigger things from him as we get throughout this season, and that's an exciting thing because you do still have this guy that we've been talking about quite a bit. This is going to be Morgan Brown's touchdown to kick things off. It's early, 3 minutes into the first quarter here. You're looking to get some points on the board, and this is the play that does it. Sometimes you just got to get the ball up there and let your playmakers go make plays.
Yeah, and we knew that we'd have this seam with those safeties being low. I think we either had a penalty or a timeout right before this, and Tink came over and said, "Hey, that seam's wide open." And I had in the back of my mind, I was like, "Oh, okay. He's seeing it. That means he's going to be comfortable throwing it. We might as well take our shot." And Morgan does a good job of working inside of that guy over top of him. Really good concentration to catch it through the hit and then staying up and gets in. That's going to be the plays we need. And I think the throw's right on the money. Everything just works out well to set us up for that score.
Sometimes you just have to make the play that's there, right? And the next play that we're going to look at is Riley McHugh's touchdown, but I think this is just a kind of a good illustration back-to-back of these two plays of sometimes you just have to do the job, and he's open, Morgan's open, the throw gets there, Morgan breaks the tackle, gets in the end zone. Like, these are the types of things, like you said, that you have to execute these plays if you want to win football games, especially as we move into CHL, where these games, these teams know you, they get tougher and tougher every single week.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that I really took away from this game on both sides of the ball, is that we just executed everything we needed to do. I didn't really feel like there were a whole lot of times throughout the game on either side of the ball where we just failed to execute.
Yeah.
Maybe there were some plays that were unsuccessful, and maybe it was a bad call by me, or we just messed up the read. But for the most part, I thought we played a really, really clean game where we executed what we needed to do.
All right, mid-second quarter here, I alluded to it just a second ago. Again, this is just kind of indicative of who we are as a team here, that Riley McHugh, not one of your 4 explosive guys, so to speak, but continues to just show up in moments. Yeah. It's 21-0. There's 8 minutes left in the first half. You can really put this game away now if you score right here. What's going on? Talk me through it.
So we had ran this play earlier in the game, and protection broke down a little bit, and Riley was wide open in the middle of the field, so I knew we wanted to come back to it. Similar thing right here. He splits him on a post, and the ball is slightly underthrown. It was really windy, and I think that kind of played a factor on it. I don't like the form on the throw, but it got there.
Well, like I said, sometimes you just got to make the play, right? And he gets it there.
But I mean, the timing between those two, I think that's Demetrius in the game right now.
Yep.
Between Demetrius and Riley on that kind of switch route right there was great. And Tink made the good read. He's looking at the corner right here, and the corner takes the wheel, so he knows the post is the throw. And I mean, he gets it up there enough just for Riley to make a play and get in the end zone.
Yeah, and you mentioned the wind. You can actually, just looking at the flags, kind of see that wind is right in his face as he's making that throw. He's also got a guy in his face too. So, well executed. Again, when somebody's that wide open, all you got to do is get the ball up to him. Riley makes the play. Just looking at the full offensive scope of this game, Sellers' ability to run and throw the ball is so important to this team. But what stood out from this game for him about how he played, just passing and running the ball?
Well, I think it just gives us another dimension that you have to defend. Thinking back in the past, we haven't always thrown the ball with a whole lot of success.
Yeah.
And I think once you add that in and we take the quick, easy throws and things like that, it just gives you another layer to worry about, along with all of our speed and athleticism on the outside. So, I mean, it just gives you one more to prepare for.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit tougher. But, I mean, also when you have, 4 days to plan for the option, if you're not doing anything in the offseason, I mean, that's a whole lot too. So I think it just makes us a whole lot tougher to defend. But also, I think his confidence is just rising when he throws the ball. I mean, we throw the ball every day, and you can see him just getting better and better and better. So, I mean, we've talked about it. Those are the throws that we need to make to win games. I think versus Schroeder, we threw the ball on fourth down 3 or 4 times, and we completed maybe all but one. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's little things like that we can do to keep the drives alive.
Yeah, there was a time in the not-so-distant past with this team that fourth down – you couldn't throw the ball. You ran the ball because you had to run the ball, even if it was 4th and 6, 4th and 8, to give you that option, or at least make them think about that option is definitely an advantage. Worth talking about Tink now, just to jump backwards here. He was nominated WLWT Player of the Week, Tri-State Football Player of the Week as well. 6 total touchdowns, close to 300 total offensive yards. Yeah. Really cool. And we'll talk about the Team of the Week accolade at the end here, but really cool to see the community rally around our guys and our players, our team throughout this whole week after the win.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one really big thing that a lot of people outside of Deer Park don't see. When I wasn't here at first and, I was still in college and all that, you just think of Deer Park as kind of like just a small school. Mm-hmm. But once you kind of get in there and you're entrenched in it, I think you see that it's parents that don't even have kids on the football team that are supporting everyone. It's not just the football team. I mean, I know Abby Pettyjohn's up for Volleyball Player of the Week right now, and all that support's pouring in for her too. And it's so cool to see how much support everyone has. I mean, I text Becca Wolf, hey, can you post this? And she's doing her best to post everything. Mm-hmm. And I mean, she's great on her end, and she's finding stats for volleyball and basketball and all of that. So, I mean, she's working just to get these kids the recognition they deserve. And, I mean, it's just, my Facebook blows up when I share posts because people are liking it and they're commenting, I'm voting, and you see it in all the Facebook pages. And it's just so great because I think the kids are finally getting recognition that they deserve that they might not have had in the past.
For sure. Really great to see all of that stuff. Great to see, even just the nominations coming in. Obviously those are things in the past that maybe haven't shown up, and we like to see all of that stuff and truly are appreciative of the community support. So, all right, let's jump back. Let's talk about the defense a little bit here. Once again, you give up 8 points, and the 8 points are late in the game. It was a shutout for most of the game. I know you're probably disappointed you guys didn't hold on to that shutout, but when you give up under 10 points in a game, you're going to win the game more often than not. So really strong effort from your defense. Just generally talk about them for a minute here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we've really kind of bought into that side of the ball. I think, in the past, our kids really have just been kind of thought of defense as kind of an afterthought. Yeah. I mean, that's not happening anymore.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
No, I mean, we go through tackling drills. I mean, I think for combined about an hour a week. And I mean, I think just having the experience from the players and the coaches on that side of the ball. I mean, with my dad and with Huster being there, I think those guys have been successful. They've seen what works, and I think just holding those kids to that standard and that expectation has helped them. And really just getting back to the fundamentals. I mean, that's really what we do. Probably 95% of the practice is just work on fundamentals that they're going to use in the game. And I think just that muscle memory and developing that has just gone so far and really just developing us into being a sound defense.
Yeah.
You know, I know once we get into the league, we're probably going to see a little bit more competition, but I think our guys are going to be ready for it just because we are going to keep repping. So if they do those things they're taught, then we're going to continue the success that we're having on that side of the ball.
For sure. A couple guys I want to talk about in this game, C.J. Warner being the first one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you watch the film, and this guy just pops out on the film. He's everywhere in this game. 11 total tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. We're going to look at one of his sacks here, but C.J. was just a monster in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, C.J. was a guy that we challenged after the Schroeder game. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. He didn't play his best game against Schroeder, and I mean, you know, I think my dad really had that conversation with him, like, man, you know, we gotta play a little bit stronger. We got to do things better than we're doing them. And he really took that and he put out this performance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's one that shows up every day and he works. And, I mean, being a freshman, I mean, we've had that conversation before. I mean, sure, he's going to go through some of those freshman struggles, but I think this just shows you that he's ready to play. I mean, that stat line is incredible for him.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I couldn't be prouder of him. I mean, he's just one of those guys that just shows up and grinds, and his attitude's always great. And I'm just really excited to see him kind of continue that growth down the stretch.
This play is going to be big because it actually ends the half. It's an untimed down here, I think. So checking this out, they're in the red zone, or not in the red zone, but close to it, 5 yards out at the 25.
Yep.
What are you looking at? What's happening in this play? Talk me through it.
So they had just ran a double pass, which was illegal. The refs didn't call it. We had the conversation at halftime. And they kind of gave us a similar look here where they faked and they were going to try to hit that guy again deep. CJ does a good job of rushing up on that top side and coming off the edge. So we're actually in our odd front where he's kind of a stand-up and he drops and he kind of finds his space to go. And he does a good job. He reads that jet first, and then once he sees it's a pass, he goes in there, and there's no one to pick him up. He does a good job of collapsing on that top shoulder and making the play, and I just love the energy that he has from him and the rest of the guys out there right there. I mean, I think that's something we haven't really had in the past. Mm-hmm. It's just, you know, you make big plays, and you're just, oh, man, I just made a big play. I want to go back to the other side. But, no, we got guys that are picking each other up, and I think that's one of the biggest things I'm loving out of our guys is just that energy they're playing with too.
For sure. Another guy that popped out on film to me while I was watching was, and this guy we're going to talk about all the time, I think, throughout this year, but Jaden Moore finishes with 5 tackles and a sack as well. We're going to see his sack right here, but what did you see from him in this game that you liked?
I mean, he's just a guy that's 100% effort all the time. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's practice, the game, offense, defense, special teams. I mean, he's busting his butt to give everything he has. And I think he's developing into that kind of guy that we need to be the leader of our defense. I mean, he does a good job of getting past the guard right there and then finishing the play. But, I mean, for a guy that didn't start playing until last year, I mean, the growth he's made is just incredible. And I think the guys really rally around him. And, I mean, his development from where he started at the beginning of the summer to now is – I mean, I'm just so impressed with him because he's just worked so hard to get to this point.
Absolutely. And I really don't mean this as disrespectful to any of the first 3 teams that you played in this season, but the offenses are just going to be better once you get into the CHL. Mm-hmm. And you need guys like this, a freshman in CJ. You're going to need those guys to make big plays in big moments.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to be able to just outscore teams. That's not the way that we play football. No. That's not our brand of Wildcat football. You're going to have guys that can make plays, and sacks are a huge part of it. Yeah. There's a lot of teams that throw the ball in the CHL.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one thing that we know as a team is that we're going to have to probably pick up our level of play if we're going to be competitive against a lot of these teams we're coming up. I mean, I think all 4 of our first games we open up the CHL with, I mean, they're tough games with Taylor, Indian Hill, Finneytown, and Wyoming. I mean, 2 out of those 4 are almost in the regional final every year in
Right.
Division 4. And I mean, Finneytown beat us last year, and Taylor's a really good team as well. So it's just something that we're prepared for, and I think the kids just need to know that level and that expectation has to rise up a little bit more for us to keep playing the kind of ball we're playing right now.
For sure. All right, last piece of film we're going to look at here. You sent this one to me. This is one of the crazier plays, and I think just getting it on film is great to see. But talk me through what's going on here.
Well, so the play before, we actually had just gotten in a penalty for being offsides. So they took the penalty, pushed us back 5 yards, and I've never seen a kick like this. And we were saying the same thing on the sideline. Colin had been doing a little sky kick where he's trying to get it to land on that 30. And I mean, he comes to practice on Wednesdays and kicks the whole duration of practice. And this has never happened. And I don't know how to describe it because I've never seen any, it got to the sideline and then all of us were just waiting for it to go out of bounds.
Right.
And then it just spun down the field. And Kevin, his job is just to go
Huge credit to Kevin on this play, right? By the way, just to not quit on it.
And his job is just to go get it. And I mean, you can see he's sprinting down the field and he recovers it on the 1. I mean, it just sets us up to get that next touchdown. But I mean, that's just, and I think all the coaches were in disbelief. I mean, we were all looking at each other like what just happened? How did that happen?
There's so many funny points to this because, like you said, you're expecting it to go out of bounds. If it goes out of bounds, it goes to the 40 or wherever it ends up. Also, if it goes into the end zone, it's just a touchback. He can't recover it in the end zone either. So it has to stop. It literally sits down on the 1 yard line. It was like a coffin corner punt, except for one that you can recover.
It was like that. It was insane.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get the guy from Norwood had seen the ball go out so many times, so he's just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
But I think all of us were just waiting for it to end up going out of bounds, but it just spun on that sideline and rolled right to the 1.
So is it a repeatable kick? Can we do it again?
I will not share any of our secrets, but he may have done it in practice yesterday.
So he's figured it out. We'll just leave it at that. We'll cut that. All right, let's talk about this team overall. The one thing, obviously, I alluded to it a little bit earlier, the Tri-State Football Gold Star Chili Team of the Week.
Yep.
Again, it's a great performance, and that speaks for itself also. But the community support to go out, this is an award that they just give it to somebody. People go out and vote for it.
Yeah.
We're a school district of 1,200 kids. You've got 30 guys on the football team. Just the incredible ability of our community to show up when it matters the most is absolutely awesome. And obviously, congratulations to you. Congratulations to your team. You don't get an opportunity to win this all that often either, and then to get voted for it. I think Tink also had a pretty good chance to win that WLWT Player of the Week. I don't know if you saw the guy who won it. You might have heard of his last name before, Herb Street.
I was going to say, a lot of those. So
those
votes came in.
He got a lot of national votes, which isn't totally fair. But even just to be on the list and be a part of it really says a lot on our community, and that's awesome. And it leads us into kind of one of the marquee moments of this season. We got homecoming coming up this Friday, tomorrow night against Taylor. Mm-hmm. Taylor's 2-1. You mentioned it. They're a good football team. Yeah. Their size is you'll notice it very quickly when you get out there. What are you looking at on film to open up CHL play this
really
week?
I mean, I think that's the biggest question for us is, can we match that physicality? I mean, they got some big guys up along both the offense and defensive front, and they play hard. I mean, that's just going to be something that we're going to have to come out and we're going to have to withstand and really buckle down and show them what we're about. I mean, every game we go into, I think our guys just know, hey, we got to come out and play. I mean, our roster size is probably 20, 25 less than they have, but I mean, that doesn't discredit how hard we're going to play. And I mean, on top of that size, they got probably 2 of the better guys in the league with McFarland and Branch. And I mean, those are both D1 guys, and they're just guys that can break the game open at any play. So they're really complete. They run the ball, they throw the ball, they play really good defense. I think I've seen a bunch of stuff that said they've maybe only given up 7 points out in the non-conference, which, I mean, it's a game where our guys need to get up, and I think we need a game where we really want that challenge and kind of embrace it and go out there and play to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, second piece of this too, it is homecoming week.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, day in, day out, activities. You got a big parade, obviously. How do you kind of balance, these are high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to enjoy those aspects of things. But at the end of the day, the task at hand is that Taylor, they're coming in on Friday night. So what do you do to balance those kind of emotions and excitement with going in and playing your hardest as well?
Well, and I think that's the tough thing for them is that, sometimes they do worry a lot about the outside stuff. But I think that was the message we kind of got across to them throughout the week is, hey, we got to take care of business first. All of our goals are still ahead of us.
Yeah.
I mean, we can still win the league. We can still make the playoffs. We can still host a playoff game. We can still stay undefeated at home. I mean, all of that is still out in front of you. So you guys got to worry about those football goals first, get the job done, and then Saturday go have fun at homecoming. And I think they've done a good job of responding to that. And, having 14 seniors, they've been through it a couple times, but then, you couple in that, you got a lot of the key impact guys we have are underclassmen that haven't been around it. So for those guys trying to navigate all of that, it was a little tough at the start of the week. But I think, second half of Tuesday and yesterday, I think they really kind of buckled in and figured it out. So, I'm excited. I think every time we go out and play, I think it's just a chance for us to kind of keep showing who we are and the kind of the product we're trying to put out there. So, I mean, I have no doubt they're going to go out there focused on Taylor and play the best game they can.
Perfect way to wrap it up. That's going to end this episode of the Deer Park Coaches Show. Don't forget to join us Friday night, homecoming Friday. Parade starts at 5:30 up at St. John's Church. Join us there. Be a part of the festivities. It's going to be a great evening. And then, of course, 7 p.m. The game starts. You can head to the athletics page at deerparkcityschools.org to get tickets for the game, or you can follow along on the Deer Park Sports Network YouTube channel. Follow Deer Park Athletics and the Deer Park Sports Network on YouTube, on Facebook for this show every week, and you can also listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We can't wait to see everyone on Friday night. So with that, he's Tucker Berger.
Yes, sir.
I'm Jake Snyder. Let's go Wildcats.